Hi friends, it's Doreen, and today we are going to make two recipes to celebrate St. Patty's Day, right? It's just right around the corner, and we are going to make a corned beef and cabbage, a little bit different than maybe how you usually do. And then for a dessert, because you know I'm all about the desserts here, and I bet you are too. We are going to make a chocolate stout whoopie pie. Now, this is the first time me trying this particular recipe. I have made chocolate stout cupcakes and cake before, so I'm hoping this will turn out. But you're going to have to keep watching to find out and let me know in the comments what you think about these recipes. We'll see you in a bit. We're going to be making our chocolate stout whoopie pie. So the first thing you want to do is get that oven preheated. We're going to have it at a high heat for 400 degrees. Like I said, I usually make cupcakes, so this is a little bit different, but I did a lot of research, and I think this was from Martha Stewart's page, so I'm kind of like adjusting the recipe. I'm not quite doing it the same, but the one gal on there, she said cook them at like 400 degrees. It helps it rise a little bit nicer and higher. I don't know, give you more volume, and it only takes 10 to 12 minutes. So let's cross our fingers. But you want to start by getting your oven preheated, and we're going to mix our we're going to mix our dried ingredients, get that sifted, set aside. But one thing I want to do right away, and I have my microwave blocked, so I've got all my ingredients right in front of there. That was smart. But we are going to use a little bit of milk, just a quarter cup. But I want to get my espresso powder melted in there, and let's get that a little heated. I'm just going to put that in there for like 10 seconds or so, because it's a very small amount. So we're going to use about 1 tablespoon of instant espresso powder. That just gives that, brings out the richness in the chocolate. Oh, we needed a little bit more. It wasn't quite enough. You still want to overdo it. And so what I have sitting out also is some room temperature unsalted butter, my Guinness stout that I'm going to use. That's room temperature. All of your cold ingredients like your egg, your butter, you need that room temperature. Now, classic whoopie pie is made with like buttermilk, but I wanted the beer flavor, so let's use a whole tablespoon of espresso. Now, if you're giving this to kids, you may want to not even put the espresso powder, or you know, because you don't want to keep kids out. Just keep that in mind. You know, I don't know how much, you know, if the caffeine cooks out or not. I'll have to do a little research on that. Now I have a little whisk. Where is it? Here it is. Let's get that. Smells wonderful. Now you don't have to worry about the alcohol, because that's going to cook off when we. So these whoopie pies are safe to give to children, so don't worry about that with the. So let's start. Now we're letting that start to hang out a little bit. We're going to mix together our dry ingredients. So I'm going to get a little. Probably not going to sift this. I might have to sift my cocoa. We'll take a look at that. But let's see what beater I want to use. I think this one will be good. All right, so we're going to take 1 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour. You know what? I'm going to adjust this so you can see better. How's that? I think that's a little bit of it. So we're going to use 1 1/3 cups of all-purpose flour. And we are going to use, we've got all our baking powder. We've got 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking soda, We have a half a teaspoon of baking powder, and we have, how much salt did I put in here? Good question. I wrote it down. Oh, half a teaspoon of salt. Let's mix that in there. Now, if I was just making chocolate whoopie pies, I might like bloom my chocolate, which that is putting it in some hot liquid, and it helps release, it just gives it a better flavor. I don't know all the scientific, I just know it's called blooming the chocolate, and I know it just makes your chocolate, any recipes that you're cooking with chocolate, makes it way better. But here we have, how much cocoa? Now this is 3/4 a cup, but let me show you what I'm using. You don't have to use this. You would use a Dutch process unsweetened chocolate cocoa powder. I use this all the time. It's the cacao powder, and this is organic. I make a lot of recipes with that, and they taste fabulous. Has such an intense chocolate flavor, and I love that. So let's mix that good. Yeah, I don't think I really needed to sift that. If your cocoa has some lumps in it, you know, you might want to put it through the sifter, because you don't want, you know, you don't want to have that little ball of cocoa powder. You know, if you don't sift something or it doesn't dissolve right, then you go to bite in your cake or your cookies or whatever, and you got a little pocket of maybe flour or cocoa. So that's really good and mixed together. All right, so now we're going to go to our wet ingredients. Let's get our stand mixer out. And we're using the paddle attachment. And we're going to start with, I've got 1 stick of unsalted butter. And we're going to cream that with some sugar. We're going to cream that with our milk and our Now I went by this recipe. I'm trying to think, because well, I was like writing down a few different recipes to get an idea of really how much butter everybody uses. You know, and some people don't use butter, they'll use oil. But butter is better. I mean, if you're going to make something this delicious, let's go with the butter. That's my sentiments on it. So we're going to go ahead and start to cream that butter, and I'll come a little closer. I just want to look at my notes a moment. We're going to put that on like medium. We'll end up getting it into more of a medium high. I just want to look at this, make sure that's all I really need is 1 stick. I said I've looked at a lot of recipes with this. And everybody has a little bit of a variation, but they're all pretty close the same. Let's go ahead and add our sugar. You can put that a little higher. I think this is like medium high. We'll let that cream a little bit. And then we'll add our our milk and our stout beer. Actually, while that's going, let me open up my bottle of beer. I need a twisty thing or something, because this is hard to get off. One thing too is you'll need some stout beer for your corned beef too. That just gives it a little extra yummy flavor. All right. Now this is starting to really get dissolved. You could scrape it down a little too. Let's Let's not spill that. I'm not a huge beer fan, but I like the flavor of it in certain things. And making those chocolate stout cupcakes, they're so like decadent. Scraper. I don't want to lose any of that yummy butter. Right? The price of groceries is like, gotta get all the little last tidbits here. All right. Let's measure. So we had 1/4 cup of milk, whole milk. You want something with fat. You need the fat in this recipe. You don't want to go skim or 2% or anything like that. So we're gonna put this up, fill this in. It should be 3/4 of a cup, and it'll all total to be 1 cup. And you're gonna get a little foam, so I put the liquid right up to a cup. All right, so let's add this to our wet ingredients. I'm gonna go a little bit slow. You don't want it splattering all over the place. We'll see if my ID works, because I'm like, okay, is this gonna curdle everything too much? You know what, I think I need my shield, or I can go a little bit slower. Like I said, I'm doing a test, so if you see the finished product, it probably worked. Otherwise, you'll see a different video where I just make a regular whoopie pot. But I wanted something special for St. Patty's Day, something a little different. So I don't think that my idea is working as good as I planned. It's very liquidy in there. Sometimes you just gotta try things and see how they're gonna work. Now let's add our egg. We'll see how we turn out in the end. Hopefully it'll all turn out in the end, right? And take 1 egg. Remember, that's room temperature. Get that incorporated. Wash my hands. Now I have seen a stout cake recipe that it's like the batter ends up being really liquidy. And it turns out very decadent, so I'm hoping for the best. I want to get my lid for my... So I want to show you, because we'll see if we're going to be scared or not the way this looks. See how wet that looks? Actually, let me... So that kind of looks scary. All right. Let's move forward. Let's get our dry ingredients. I put everything else in there. Oh, can't forget our vanilla. So generally you would use 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Lo and behold, it's going through my cupboard and I just had like 1 teaspoon left. So what I did is I added 1 teaspoon of butter extract. But the vanilla extract that I had was a organic vanilla bean paste. So it actually, well, you can't see now. If you see close up, it has little pieces of the vanilla bean in there. So that's pretty potent. I'm hoping this will work out good. I usually always have a ton of vanilla extract in the house because I'm always baking. But I overlooked that, so we're going to go ahead and start to add our dry ingredients. Am I thinking of anything else I need? I think that's it. Now, some people, when they make this, they'll just mix all their, the wet and the dry all together at once. A lot of people do it this method where the wet and then add the dry to the wet. Well, it's starting to come together. I'll show you when we get it. You remember using the paddle attachment. You don't have to use a stand mixer. If you don't have a stand mixer, which I didn't have one for years and years, and you can just use a handheld mixer. That will work. There we go. Let's see how we turn out. I think this is a little loose. I'm like, ah. Let me show you. Because we definitely got to scrape down the sides. I mean, this would be great for like cake batter, but then again, it's kind of more cookie-ish like. So can you see we got a lot on the sides there? We need to scrape that down. And just take this paddle off for a sec so I can get in here. Scrape down the sides, and there's a lot of that chocolate powder along the sides. So let's scrape that in there. Scrape down to the bottom. Put our paddle back in there. And scrape off what's on here. And we're going to make a yummy filling in here with butter, confectionery sugar, a little bit of marshmallow cream. And some people just use like a classic American buttercream. Now you can choose a filling that you like the best. But that's what we're going to do today. Now one thing, I'm going to let this sit and drop a little bit because I think it's mixed enough. I saw one baker, she's a professional baker, and she said how you have those nice shiny domed tops is if you preheat your baking pans. I don't know. I've got this really thin batter, but I'm going to try it. I like to try things. Probably shouldn't try it if I'm doing it if I'm doing it for you. One thing if I just tried it. And some things I try out before I do with you, but sometimes it's fun to explore together. Gonna get that first reaction like, ah! It's like, that did not work. But when it does work, it's like, ah! Awesome, that worked. I tried that and it worked. So we're going to put those in there. The oven's preheated for about 5 minutes. And let's scrape off this chocolate goodness. Now we're going to use, I got like I think it's a 1 ounce cookie scoop. Most people make them that size. Some people will use the bigger one, which I'll show you because I have both. But depends on what size you want. You know, if you have littles, probably better to use the little one because they're gonna just waste it. I need my little, set it in there. Just like, you know, at a birthday cake, you know how many kids, they just don't, they'll take a couple bites of the birthday cake. I've thrown many birthday parties like you have, right? And you know, a lot of kids don't even really like the cake. You know, there used to be a lot of them ate the frosting, but I think a lot more parents now are really being good about how much sugar they let their kids have. And the kids don't even have, you know, have as much of a sweet tooth. Like my generation, okay? Here's for your younger ones. So I'm in the baby boomer generation. And I grew up, we had dessert almost every night. I don't know if it was every night, but you know, when you're a kid older and your recollection of when you were a kid, maybe a little bit off, but I remember either we would have like a slice of cake. My mom would make a lot of cakes because it was an economical way. There was four of us, four kids, of course, my mom and dad, and oh, I didn't put that timer on. Anyway, six of us total. So mom always thought of some economical ways of making dessert. But you know, sometimes we would have pudding, a little dish of pudding, or a little bowl of Jello. Now, I will say, in defense of that generation, there's lots of things going there. Yes, we always had dessert afterwards, but it was a small dessert. And you know what? Everybody was a lot thinner back then. So we ate like more real food, probably. I think that generation in the 60s was starting to where we had more processed food, but in the 70s, of course, we had more and more processed food. But really, I come from a household where, you know, there was a lot of fresh, real food. And so if you ate a little dessert, you know, it was in moderation. You didn't eat a lot of processed foods as much. So now we eat so many processed foods, right? And our body's like, hello, what is that? Is that even food? I don't know what to do with that. I'm going to make fat out of that or something. So anyway, I digress. All talking about desserts. Let's get the pans out. All right, got these hot pans. Let me get my parchment paper. I already got that all prepared. Set it on our sheets. Careful, because those pans are really hot. So let's get our scooper. I'm going to use this. This is a 1 ounce scooper. But I'll show you what I was talking if you wanted the bigger. Now this is like, I don't even know what size that is. Oh, 4 tablespoons. And this is, I'm pretty sure this is just 1 tablespoon. Maybe it's 2. Usually it has it on the, yeah, I think this is a tablespoon. We're not going to use that big one. Of course, it is mostly just me and my hubby. Do I want to make smaller ones or bigger ones? That's the question. I thought I had this settled in my mind, but let's go ahead. Now you want them all to be equal, so you're going to take your scoop and just flatten that scooper right along the pan. So you're having the same size. You're going to put them about 2 inches apart. It smells really good. Oh, I think these are going to be all right. I don't know if I'll be able to do this whole batch. Whoops. Because I got 8 on there. 1, 2. No, you're not seeing me. Let me back up a little bit because sometimes I get cut off and I don't pay attention. Yeah, I'm just doing and I'm scraping it along there. That way we got it evenly proportioned. I got what? 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Let's see if I can get 2 more in here. Now this makes quite a bit. All right, we're gonna have to do 2 batches. No problem. Let's get these in the oven. And we're gonna put that timer on for about, we're gonna do it for 10 minutes. Or I'll set the timer for 12 minutes, but at 10 minutes I'm gonna look, take a look at them. I gotta do it a little differently. You know, this pan I'm gonna put on the top because this is a little thinner. And I think those might cook a little faster on there. All right, let's see how it goes. Let's cross our fingers. Timer. All right. Time to take them out. I've been watching them closely. And what I did about 10 minutes in, the last 2 minutes, I switched the pans. I put this darker pan on the lower level. I'm gonna let these cool a little bit. Let's get a cooling rack. Let's put these cooling racks out here and we're gonna let them cool about 10 minutes before we try taking them off the pan, and then we have to do the next batch. So some of them slid into each other a little bit, so you can kind of see, but you want to press it and it popped back. So now if we use that bigger scooper, we're going to have a lot fatter, but I think this is a nice size, right? Because sometimes you just want a little something. Alright, where's the other cooling rack? So bizarre. I found my other cooling rack. I had it in my hall closet that I have a lot of my big pans and stuff. I should have figured. Usually I have the other one, have them right out because I need them a lot. But anyway, I found it. I let these cool. These have been cooling about 12 to 13 minutes, and they're not as puffy as I would like. Probably should get a close up. Let's see if I can get a little closer. So we're going to take these off, like I said, between 12 and 15 minutes. And you're going to let these completely cool before you put any filling in them. And they've cooled down pretty nice. These are not too high, so don't know if my process made them. I'm just wanting to try them so bad, but I want to have enough for each. I'm going to try the next batch not preheating the pans. Let's see, I'm going to use the other side as to not waste. I don't know why these, I guess I slid these ones a little bit too close together. They smell really good. It's taking willpower not to eat one. Look at that other batch in there. So I think I had, what, 10 on each pan, so that's 5 whoopie pies. Let's see how many more I can. I'm thinking of probably at least enough batter to make another total of 8 whoopie pies. All right. Let's go over to the stove and get these assembled. I'm going to get that other batch in. Oops. Let's fix that one. So I've got 12 here. Probably could get a total of 13, but we're not going to fuss with that because it'll make them a little too crowded. So let's get those in the oven. And we'll see you back in 12 minutes. It'll be like seconds for you. Time to take that next batch out. Let's see, it was 12 minutes. I made a couple of them bigger. I'm gonna give them a little poke just to make sure they bounce back. I think they need like 1 more minute. This batch, I didn't put the pan in there preheated. We'll see. I mean, one thing I was thinking of as I was waiting for these to cook is because I changed up the batter a little, it probably didn't respond the same way as that other lady's that she preheated her pans and they came out pretty nicely domed. Mine were flatter, so who knows? I could have adjusted it, but let's wait a minute and then pull these back out. We're going to make our filling. So let's go ahead and start our buttercream. Let's get all our things we need for that. We're not going to use an egg. I just was like, I wasn't sure if I was going to make 2 batches of those whoopie pies or not. Let's see. Definitely need a spatula. Let me get my little booklet. I wrote down how I wanted to make this. I'm going to need about 1/4 cup of milk probably. Let's pour that out. Okie dokie, so we're going to take 1 stick of unsalted butter. And we're going to cream that. Oops. Let's cream that up. Once we get that to a little bit of a paler consistency, we're going to add our marshmallow cream. I've got a tub of this, just marshmallow cream. What it is? What is this? 7 ounces, I think. our bowl down. You can see the consistency, it's a little lighter there. Actually, I'm going to turn that off and just stick that in there. I don't even know if I really needed this whole tub. We'll probably have some leftovers. But then again, we got quite a few. We're going to have what? 10 whoopie pies to fill? 10 to 12? There we go. Let's let that whip a little bit. This is really simple. So let me show you how this looks. Here we go, and I'm just going to scrape that down to make sure all the butter is incorporated in there. A little bit on my spatula there, so we'll blend this a little bit. Ooh, let's lock it in. There we go. Now, I'm going to use, I always use a little more vanilla than most recipes because I love it so much. Oh, hello, I'm right in your face. Let's back up a little bit. So remember, I didn't have any vanilla left. So this is that, what I was telling you about. It's a pure vanilla bean paste. So it's pretty thick. So I added some butter extract to that and let it sit in there about 5-10 minutes. And it pulled up some more for me. And I'm going to put that right in. Because I do have a vanilla bean in my cupboard, but I didn't want to use a whole vanilla bean for this filling. So let's put our little cover on so we don't get a bunch of powdered sugar in our face and all over our clothes. We've got about 3 cups of confectionery sugar. And you'll want to have, I have a whole box, a pound box. You might need a little bit more. You kind of have to see how the consistency goes. Let's add a little bit of milk. Got about a 1/4 cup of milk. We're just going to add a little bit at a time. Got a little more milk. It's getting thick. Woo. I'm making a mess. This will be a great little treat for St. Patty's Day. I've got so many made, so I'm going to give some to my coworkers. I hope they will like that. I think they will, right? Who can refuse whoopie pies? I don't know. There are some people that don't like chocolate. I have one of my dearest friends. She doesn't like chocolate. I think she likes milk chocolate, but just a little drops of milk. I'm going to give that a taste and a test before I add any more confectionery sugar. Let's get a little spoon. But yeah, can you believe this? But only chocolate. The only chocolate I don't like is white chocolate. I will eat something with it, but it's not my favorite. Oh, I can see the little flecks of the vanilla bean in there. Oh, that is really super yummy. I'm gonna add a little bit of more confectionery sugar. It is really sweet though. Just a little bit because I wanted a little thicker consistency. Now we're going to go ahead and put the corned beef in the oven, and this is going to take a few hours. I've got about a little over 3.5 pounds of corned beef brisket, and it's going to be about an hour per pound. Now, like I said, we're going to be cooking this in the oven, but I wanted to show you a little bit about this this cut. So this cut of brisket is what's called a flat cut. I'll put a little video clip. I was in the grocery store. There's a point tip and a flat cut. And the flat cut, it is a lot more per pound. Actually, let me pull this out of the garbage real quick. I'll wash my hands. I already put the bag in there. But this flat cut was $5.98 a pound. So the point cuts are about $1 less a pound. Now, if you take a little bit of a survey of what people like more of the flat cut or the point cut, you get varying opinions on that. But some people say hands down the flat cut is better, and I've done both. But this year I decided to do the flat cut, and like I said, it's going to be about an hour per pound. We've got the oven on 300, and let's go ahead and get that in there. We're going to put a little bit of our Guinness in that pan. One thing I will mention about the pans, I really wrestled with it because I really like these stoneware pans. I had these at Pampered Chef years and years ago, and they've just held up wonderfully. This is all seasoned and everything. I would love to put it in here, but I want to have, it's going to give us a lot of liquid. I'm going to have the beer. We're going to add some water in the process of making this, and this just isn't big enough. So you have to give it plenty of enough room. If you have a Dutch oven, if you have a smaller cut of meat, that is gonna work out fine, depending on your size. This is another one, like I said, but you look, there's just not gonna be enough room. So I had to go with this older pan that I had, which is fine, but those stoneware just, and I also have a Dutch oven pot, but it's round and it's not big enough for this. So okie doke. So I took this out of the package, put it on some paper towels just to soak up a little extra liquid. Now this pack, you'll find it with your corned beef cabbage. Sometimes it'll be a flavor packet, seasoning packet. It has different peppercorns, I think coriander seed, bay leaf. This one was already coated. It didn't have the packet, and you can make your own blend if you want to. But I find the ones you get in the packet are pretty good. So now there's different ways you can, if I was just serving this for myself, I would just coat it with Dijon mustard, but my husband's going to be eating this, and he doesn't like mustard at all. So that would give it great flavor. Coat, and I could maybe just coat that little tip. We'll see. But you're going to take some like Guinness Stout. It's a darker beer. And I had a little bit left over from my whoopie pie, so I'm just going to use that because we want about 12 ounces. You're not going to pour it over the top. You want this to come, the liquid is about 1 inch up on the meat. So we'll start out this way. A little bit in the baking process, we'll add a little bit of water. We're not going to add our vegetables right now. We'll roast that in a separate pan because we don't want our vegetables this year to be steamed or braised. We want them a little more caramelized and roasted. Like I said, this is going to cook for about 3.5 hours. So let's get going. I'm going to put this in the middle rack. Okay. So our whoopie pies are totally cooled down. Stop it. I just had a little laughing fit. So hold on. I'm trying to get my composure. Stop. Yeah. One of these days we'll have these whoopie pies, I hope. But anyway, they're totally, completely cooled down so we can put the filling in there. And we're going to test one because I'm not going to fill all these and go, oh, I don't like how that turned out. Now, I am definitely going to tweak these because they don't raise up the way I wanted. The hope is they taste delicious. So I'm going to find some of my ones that aren't as even and do a test on that one. Because it really doesn't matter how it looks. So you're going to take the, this is like more of the dome shape, and that's the inside. We're going to put that flat. We're going to lay our icing on there. And we're going to use that same spoon. Now, a lot of people use a piping bag. And I'm not going to go through that trouble today. I don't know if I should, but I'm just going to lightly spread that out. Now, you have to determine how much icing you want. I feel like that's enough filling. But you do want it to come to the ends, right? Because that's part of the whoopie pie is you see that filling. So maybe I need a little bit. I just want to make sure I have enough, too. I'll spread it out to the ends. All right. I'm going to put the dome side up. Yeah, see? That's how it looks. So is that enough filling for you? You can press it down a little bit. It's not going to hurt it. All right. Here's the taste test. I'm going to break it in half. Let's cross our fingers. Hopefully it turns out good. Okay. Definitely tweaking it because I know I want to have that cookie top, the cake cookie, whatever you call it. I want that fatter, but it's a good flavor. When you match it with the icing, I feel like it's not too sweet. My husband always says everything is way too sweet, usually. So we'll get his opinion on it, but to me it's nice balance because we put that chocolate, well, we not only had the chocolate, but we had the stout beer, and then we also used a little bit of the espresso powder. I feel like it balanced out the sweetness. So I would say all in all, this is a winner. You get to see this video because if it bombed out, I wasn't going to put it. So I'm happy with this. It's not to perfection. Not that I have to have it to perfection, but I definitely wanted these whoopie pies a little thicker. So anyway, let's get to frosting. All right, let's get to making some of these. One thing too, when you're making baked goods, you got to make sure your baking powder is not old, but which I just got mine, I think in the fall, so that should be good. So it could be that I feel like it didn't puff up enough, maybe because of the way I processed it. Adding that beer in there, I don't know. I have to play with it a little bit. Make my husband one. I'm making him a big one. Remember those two large ones we had? Nah. Let's just squish it down. Putting some extra filling because that's a big whoopie pie. I don't know if I quite need a double. You can make your coffee.
Oh, are you done?
No, that's not going to bother it. Sticky fingers. Will you turn that timer off, please? Just put them on top and squish it out. I think that works pretty easy. Let's see if I have enough of the filling. That big one is for you. Now I'm putting that in the center and just pushing on it, and that's not breaking my cake or anything. So these are pretty sturdy. Yeah. I got a little icing on the top of that because I still have icing on my fingers. There we go. Wash my hands. We've had this corned beef in here for about an hour. And we're going to go ahead and add some water to that pan. A little bit of our beer, a good amount of it has evaporated. So let's put about I put about 3 cups of water in there. We'll put that back in the oven for half an hour, maybe 40 minutes, and then we're going to add our vegetables to the broth. Our corned beef has been in the oven for a little over an hour and a half. It is time to put our vegetables in. Now, I've already pre-cut up some carrots. You want to figure about 2 carrots per person. And I did some Yukon Gold potatoes and about a potato and a half per person. And we're going to cut up, I'm going to add this rutabaga. I wanted to change it up. This isn't something I normally put in there, but it's such a delicious addition to our meal. So I'm going to put that. I love rutabaga. And I got to tell you a funny story is, well, I don't know how funny it is, but every year at our family generally cooks this at Thanksgiving, and most of the time we see who we could push off, which sister we would push off cutting this, because it's a really thick type of skin. This one isn't so bad. Some of them are a lot thicker, but it's a little tricky. But you know, after you've been doing it for quite a few years. But I'm the oldest of 4 siblings. Of course, my brother, I don't think he ever peeled a rutabaga. No judgment. But my baby sister, who's about 9 years younger than me, we would always, a lot of times, push it off on her. So we even tease as grown-ups. We tease about that. It's like, especially now she lives on the East Coast, I live on the West Coast. And like to tease her and say, hey, are you going to cut the rutabaga? Or she would tease me, you going to cut the rutabaga? I know I'm trying to think what year, if it was 2017 or 2018. I think that's the last time we had Thanksgiving together. And we were joking around about that. Who's gonna cut the rutabaga? It's like maybe we pawned it off. We might have pawned it off on somebody totally different. Now this is the tricky part too, is getting it cut. And my knives are not the sharpest, so I'm gonna be really careful with that. Oh, I know this isn't gonna be. This one needs to be sharpened too. Now I just sharpened these at the holidays, but I have a knife sharpener. I don't feel like it's all that great. All right, I got it cut up in smaller pieces. I didn't want to have the stress of having the camera on and slipping and cutting myself. So this is much easier to manage. This is very dense, so I'm going to cut it in small to medium size, because they're much more denser than potatoes, especially these Yukon Golds. And I have about a half an onion too that we're going to add. Like I said, you got to have a real sharp knife to cut these. Now unless you're just a large amount of people who have leftovers, plan on having somebody over. All right, let's get that out of the oven. We probably will have to add some more water. Let's see where I put on my pot holders. Ooh, it looks and smells good. So we're doing good on liquid. Now there's a couple ways we could go about it. We could just roast our vegetables on a pan, or we could put it in a liquid It's going to absorb some of the flavors of the meat. I think I'm going to do that. I was thinking about roasting it because I like wanted it caramelized, and I could roast them and then add it. That is an idea. I'm thinking this through. So I'm going to just put a tad more water. You know what? I'm going to do that because I wanted that caramelization. Now I probably put like a half a cup or so of water. Yeah, let's do that. Now the only thing to remember though, this is only on 300, and then to roast, I'm going to try it for a half an hour, see how it looks, because usually you need a higher heat to roast the vegetables to get that caramelization. I don't know that my plan is going to work. And do I want to spend the extra time? Well, you know what? Let's just try and see. Because you don't know until you try it. Because this has, what did I say, about an hour and a half? This has over another hour and a half because it was a pretty big corned beef. Remember, about an hour per pound. So let's go ahead. Put that on there. Doesn't that look pretty? So let's see. You know what? I gotta put that so you can see it better. I've got about a half of a medium onion here. I put a little avocado oil on the bottom of the pan, and I'm going to put a little salt and pepper on these once I get the onion on there. Say for years, I do just boil it in a crock pot or on top of the stove, mostly on top of the stove. I would like to take a look. I wish I knew exactly because I've been cooking it so long, and I don't remember, but I know I've cooked it plenty of times in the crock pot and plenty of times on the stove. All right, salt and pepper. A little pepper. A little salt. Let's check on our vegetables. Woo! Should have took my glasses off. They fogged up. Let's see how they're doing. Well, they look like they're coming a little bit. Yep, they're getting a little tender. Carrots, of course, are pretty tender. The potatoes still got a way to go, but I think at this point I'm going to put them in the liquid because I want that flavor. That's kind of like the undeniable flavor of corned beef and cabbage dinner is, you get all those mixture of those wonderful, lovely vegetables with the meat. Oh, look at that. That looks pretty good. One thing I didn't mention either is, and I'll probably mention this again, and I'll put a little message on the beginning part of this video. I took this immediately back out and put the fat cap on the top because you want the fat on the top. And I forgot to tell you that. So let's put our veggies right in here. So while this is cooking, we'll go ahead and prep our cabbage. And how I usually do it, even when I cook it in the oven, I'll take these juices, put it in a pot, and usually boil up the cabbage. Probably, I don't know if I'll roast it. We'll see. Trying to avoid extra dishes though, that's the only thing. Now, definitely want to get this. I don't want this to run over my liquid. And really get those potatoes in there, because carrots don't take that long to cook up. Potatoes, yeah. So this is a good meal to do when you're going to be home all day. And if you have a lot of things to do, don't roast it like how I am. Go ahead and put it in the crock pot. If this is your first time, if you want to change it up a little bit, then go with this recipe. Either way, it tastes delicious. Ooh, that's pretty full. I might put another cookie sheet under there. I don't know. Well, because we're getting awful close to right at the end. I'm going to take the carrots, some of the carrots out. All right, back in the oven. Oh, that's really heavy. I'm gonna put this back in. All right, let's get the cabbage ready. Let's chop up the cabbage. Now, I'm cooking this. We're going to not eat this until tomorrow. It's a day of cooking. I'll probably just reheat it. I can reheat it in the microwave or the oven. Of course, it's better to reheat it in the oven. But I had off today, so that's why I'm cooking today. And when you're reheating your corned beef, you can slice it up. If you slice it up to go reheat it, then it will heat up quicker, and also that you won't dry it all out. So we're gonna cut that core off. And I took the outside leaves off that were kind of, exposed. So what I do, let's just cut down the middle. And then we're gonna cut it again in half. And I want to see if I can get a close-up. Oh, it helps if I have the light on. You get a little close-up of how so you can see, that wedge there. That's the little bit of the core. And we're going to cut that out. You just really go on a diagonal and just cut it out. Now there's different ways. You can put this whole quarter in there, or you can do it again like this. Get that core part out. And I'll take these 4, run it under some cold water. I really do like to take the liquid and, from the cooked corned beef and the liquid from all the veggies, and then have it in the pot, and then put the cabbage in there because it gets so much of the flavor. This one I'm going to cut in half. Get the core out. And this wasn't a huge cabbage. My husband doesn't like cabbage. Some family members like cabbage, some don't. So I'm going to keep these ones a little bigger, I think. Do I want to? Nah. I thought about keeping that a little bigger. Let's just... And we'll rinse these off. And then just pretty much got to wait for everything to get closer to done. About a half an hour, we'll check everything out, the vegetables, and we'll take the temperature of the meat. It should be 145 for it to be done. I'm thinking this should be done by now. Let's pull the corned beef out. Let's get a placemat. It's going to be very heavy. Ooh. It smells really good. Ooh. Let's take those carrots out. They're getting a little schmutzy. I left those a little bit too long. I don't want to put that so hot. Let's put it on a towel. All right, let's test the meat. We're going to put it in the fattest part. We want it at 145. And it helps if I put my glasses on. We're so close. I think we're going to go over 145. Yep, it's at 150, so just a little bit over, and I was running around the house doing different things, so the potatoes are good. Let's test them all. Let's test those rutabagas. I think they could use like 10 minutes, so I'm going to just put this in here, but I'm going to take the meat out and let that rest. Actually, I could just throw this all in a pot, but I'm not going to do that. Just going to keep this in the juices. And see if I can keep my hands off of this, because this is for tomorrow night. Might have to give it a little taste, right? Yeah. I gotta give it a taste test. I gotta let you know how it is today. That sounds like a good idea to me. Alright, let's get that out. Now, don't worry if it looks pink, because that's the color of corned beef. So there it is. We went a little bit over. So like I said, this was a little over 3.5 pounds. I'll put this back in. I'm gonna up my temperature a little bit to 350. Oh, it smells so good. A facial of corned beef and cabbage. Of course, we don't have the cabbage in there yet, but all the vegetables and that stock with the beer. Oh, marvelous. It is time to take those veggies out, cook them a little bit longer. Ooh, hot. It smells so good. Oh, I meant to put that placemat. Now I've got a pot. This is probably not going to be big enough. Unless I do a little bit at a time. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to use this pot and put it on high. We're going to take our juices. Now, I'm going to take our juice from here because it's full of amazing flavor. Of course, I didn't check all my vegetables. Yeah, they're perfectly tender. And we're going to bring this to a boil, which won't take long because this is so hot. And we'll probably add a little water to that too. I'll leave a little broth in the pan just to keep those veggies wet. You know what? We don't even have to so much let this boil because it's getting really close to boiling. Although I wanted to put water in there. Forgot. It's already boiling, but I'm going to put a little water so that will cool it down. About 2 cups of water. We'll let that boil, and then let's go ahead and cut our corned beef. I'll use this plate. Oh, let's turn the oven off. I've had that on for several hours. Now you're to cut against the grain. Let's see if I'm doing that. I want my glasses, I can see better. Let's try it this way. Oh, look at that. And we're just going to cut a few slices because now I'm hoping I'll have leftover meat. I mean, after I serve this, because I have this great dish I want to make with leftovers. I'll keep that a surprise. Keep that a surprise to the end. All right. Woo. Let's give it a little taste. Let's dip it in our sauce. Oh, this sauce was pure pungent. Now, let's try it. Oh, I wanted to mention. So there's lots of ways you could serve this with a little mustard, horseradish sauce. That is what I'm talking about. That is really good. Definitely more tender when you do it. Sorry. That is good. It is so much tender when you cook it on the stovetop in the water. I definitely overcooked it a little, but the flavor is amazing. Oh my gosh, that is so good. Yeah, I gotta stay out of that. All right, this is just about boiling. I'm gonna put this on a platter and then put it in the fridge. Let you see how pretty it looks for presentation. Now you don't have to do the big presentation if you're doing it just for your family. But if you want to do something a little special, you know, it's a weeknight and you're having a regular you know, your regular family dinner. But if you're doing something a little special, it is nice to put it on a platter. And it's a good way to train up our children um, to make, you know, to make things look a little fancy. A distinction on our celebrations. So friends, we've got our corned beef cabbage dinner done. Yay! And it's a success. We've got the star of the show, the corned beef, the cabbage, the carrots, the Yukon Gold potatoes, and the rutabaga. So what complements this dinner is something we've always done is we always serve some Dijon mustard or even yellow mustard on. We'll set that on the table. Some horseradish sauce. Set that on the table. Also have little containers of have a little dish of some white distilled vinegar. That tastes great, especially on the cabbage. Of course, you're going to, when you put that on your plate, you're going to put some butter on your potatoes, on your cabbage, a little salt and pepper, and put a little bit of vinegar on the cabbage. Now, if you don't have white vinegar, you can do red wine vinegar or even apple cider vinegar. It tastes great on that cabbage. So there we have that meal. I hope you enjoyed it. And then for dessert, we're going to have our chocolate stout whoopie whoopie pies. So, and they were great because we did a little taste test because we could not wait. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't, because you'll get to see all my latest videos. I do desserts, everyday meals, special occasion meals, and holidays. We've got a lot going on here. We do a little bit of home decor as far as table setting and seasonal setting. So we're ready to go in full steam ahead for spring. I'm kind of slowly getting there. I kind of got my sage green or heather green tablecloth and my little peach placemats. That's where I started so far. So I'm kind of behind schedule a little bit, but you know, we get done what we can get done, right? So go ahead and subscribe because my next video is going to be something yummy. You know, there's always something yummy cooking here at Back to Home with Doreen. Um, so have a happy St. Patty's Day, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.